Hello and welcome. My name is Uhasa, and this is the Silvina Pale Crown Masterclass in Honor Duels. Now, I know not everyone enjoys Honor Duels, but we all mostly do it for the diamonds. And so, personally, if there were no rewards, I wouldn't do it every week, but I still enjoy it somewhat. So I will be making an Honor Duel series where I will showcase and make a guide on how to get 9 wins for every artifact, starting with Pale Crown. Pale Crown Silvina is the one and only job is to assassinate and burst the enemy down as quickly as possible. In this video, you will learn the art of assassination and how to counter assassins. So, we'll start with Silvina's kit. Just her second ability for now, which is called First Strike. So First Strike will mark the enemy in the symmetrical or mirrored position, flashes next to them, and then launches a single attack that's quite high in damage. In this case, it's 340% plus 25, and it stuns them for 5 seconds. This is important to know because in Pale Crown, you deal 2.2 times more damage than what she would normally do. And this is the most important part, is that with every assist or kill, she will recast First Strike again. And it will prioritize the weakest enemy. So if she keeps doing that and gets a KO or an assist, she will keep striking until everyone's dead, which is what you ideally want. So now that that's pretty clear, I made a quick tier list for Graveborn heroes in Honor Duels, and the first 2 lines are ideally what you want. Salazar and Igor synergize really well with Silvina, and then these 2 are your damage dealers, extra CC. Thornir and Viperian aren't really suited for the artifact, and actually in general, even without Pale Crown, I would still ideally get these 5 because Thorin is outclassed in every aspect except for tankiness compared to Salazar. So Salazar is like pretty strong tank, and Nero is like a revive person. So these 2 aren't suited for a burst comp. Whereas Viperian, although he can dish out damage, there's the matter of him, self-mitigating damage, and he doesn't offer CC like Cecia or Carolina. The last line are people who might work really well with Silvina, but in Honor Duel it's difficult to acquire them because you mainly want to go for Graveborn faction classes. But in the case that you can get them, Seth is really good because he buffs himself when there are low HP enemies. Vala can kind of do the same thing as Silvina, but she has to charge up her ulti. And Reese, if you get him, Mythic Fire Dance, they're all great. But these are all, how to say, they're kind of mid until you get them at a higher tier, which means like you have to wait and you have to get these until they become that rank, which is probably not worth it. So yeah, but just in case Destiny calls for you and they say, hey, get this. Okay, so we're gonna go through a detailed version of the heroes. starting with Silvina.
Both techniques and tactics are indispensable.
So, other than First Strike, you have Blade Vortex, where her auto attacks become these like whirl assaults, and they just deal bonus extra damage for 12 seconds, which is like plenty of time for her to get her first assassination in. Hero Focus increases crit again, which synergizes with her First Strike, and Shield of Light is when she reaches Mythic. There's no Supreme in Honor Duel, so we only just have to worry about the first 5 abilities. The Shield really helps because although she can't be targeted, she can still be affected she can still be affected in the range if people do AoE or CC or something like that. And then her ulti reduces their energy by 300 and just does another like damage similar to First Strike. So here is 360 plus 50, this is 340 plus 25, so kind of similar damage. Okay. Silvina is
Both
OP
techniques and
because
tactics
she
are
can
indispensable.
basically counter anyone in Honor Duel. Out of all the instant casts, which is what First Strike is, Silvina's is the quickest. That means that she can force Aaron to not tornado, and she can stop. Who else? That's all I can think of right now. Oh, well, anyone who has like Gaze of Power and they cast their ultis at the beginning, Silvina is the quickest. Now, in the game, you want Silvina to generally target a support or a squishy, but generally you want to target a support, so someone like Rowan or Haywin, because if you don't kill them, they will heal your target, buying them more time, the enemy, to kill Silvina. Now, the best items to get for Silvina are Mask of Fury, so this is a purple, here we go, and it increases her attack by 100% and reduces her haste by 50. Note that this is quite an old item guide, so these were my old notes. I didn't think very highly for Silvina before, but now I'm like highly recommending it, so get Mask of Fury for Silvina. The other options are if you're not getting her a mythic quick enough, then a hunting armor would be very nice. Let me find it here, where it blocks the first fatal blow and they become immune to all damage and CC for 5 seconds. So this is really good for protecting carries, and yeah, my notes from the past me, like I still agree with. Then there's also Pierce Call. If let's see, Pierce Call. So you enter an invincible and untargetable state for 15 seconds, but you also get 12% bonus stats from adjacent enemies if they're still, like adjacent allies if they're all still alive. And this is really great. And the past me did a great job marking Silvina as OP item for her too, which is very true. You have 15 seconds, and her Whirlwind is also 15 seconds, and this should be plenty of time to assassinate at least one person. Okay, moving on, we're gonna go to Salazar. So let's take a look at his abilities. Second one is Enraptured Whip. So it does a lot of it just does some basic damage, but if the HP becomes lower than 70%, he deals a lot more damage, like 50, 60% more damage, which is very good. And it's a whip, so it's he can shoot it from a little bit of range. Spear Shackles is the really cool the most cool ability, I think, that Salazar has. And this is what synergizes with Silvina really well. When the enemy gets to less than HP 70% again, this time, like, he just shoots swords at them and imprisons them and locks them down for like 5 seconds. So 5 seconds, they can't move, they can't act. It's basically like a stun for 5 seconds. And there's a 0 cooldown. So if anyone who gets shackled, then he can just do it again and again. But everyone can only do it once. They can only apply to an enemy once. This is what makes him quite tanky. So he reduces damage taken by 20% during the battle. And he can actually heal himself back up as well. Where is it? I think it's in Rain of Blades. Yeah. But in Soul Drench, when he reaches Supreme, he deals an extra max percentage HP to the enemy, and he gains life drain. And his ulti, Rain of Blades, so he just launches like eight blades to the enemy. You see, it's like that. Oh, just like that to the enemy. It's nothing too special to me personally, but it's cool that it does HP percentage to the enemy too. So this guy is basically the pillar of Graveborns. His Spirit Shackles have no cooldown, and he has the best synergy with Silvina. His only weakness is that he can't tank as well as Thorin, but that doesn't really matter because the enemy will be dead before Salazar dies anyway. Salazar's best items, I would say, is also the hunting armor. So the one where he has a second life, so it blocks the first fatal blow and immune CC for 5 seconds. Or he could get the other tank item, which is the Stalwart Helmet, which is here. It reduces all damage dealt by not 40%, I think it's 20% now. No, it should be 40%. Hopefully 40%. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Moving on is Cecia. Some people say Cecia.
You desire an audience.
I don't know.
And what do you offer?
Anyway, I think we all kind of know what Cecia does. We just rely on her and Mr. Carlisle. In ordinary battles, her weakness and flaw is it takes a while to charge up energy to summon Mr. Carlisle. But in here, we have something called the Gaze of Power. You know, so if we have the Gaze of Power or Fire Dance, then she can automatically summon Mr. Carlisle at the beginning of the fight. Now her job is basically to apply extra CC to the backline and bring their HP down to below 70% so Salazar can trigger his Spirit Shackles. So I'll just show you the Gaze of Power. This is the best purple item in my opinion in general. So you cast ultimate once, no cost to the energy, but reduces their damage by 50% for 10 seconds. So that's what you want. And then you in the late game transition to Fire Dance, which is the same thing, but there's no debuff, and you gain 20% extra damage to your ultimate. So very OP, very OP. This is the same thing for Carolina, so you want Gaze of Power first and then Fire Dance. And just quickly covering her abilities. Not really.
So
We just care about her snowballs, really.
Snow?
And she is, other than Silvina, she is also your secondary damage dealer. She offers a huge amount of damage, but her snowballs only apply to enemies that have been CC'd. And so, and sometimes she needs a bit ramping up. But it's fine. Silvina is your main carry. And if you have the Snow Herb artifact, she will be one of the highest damage dealers in the game, if not the highest. Okay, so that's pretty much wraps up for the heroes. I'll show you some examples of of this team. So you have everyone here. This one on the end is the one that gives a lot of stat bonuses. And then here, this is the one I did today. Yeah, I did just today. And for Igor, I really like. I forgot to cover Igor. But Igor is your tank that counters Vala, Silvina, but also he jumps right in to the center of the pack and can help also make sure the enemies go down 70% HP or less to again trigger Salazar. And like I said before, I like Igor having Cleric's Vestment because he jumps right in the center of everyone and Cleric's Vestment taunts enemies around him for 1.5 seconds. So this helps people target him and away from more important your allies like Silvina or Cecia. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the showcase. And oh, hold up a second. Let me turn this sound off here. There we go. So this is my run. And I'll just prove commentary on it. So here, I've been doing a lot of the econ strat, but I haven't been doing really well with it. So I just decided to go back to my old roots and just lock into the faction card straight away. And here it paid off. So I'm looking for the Graveborn faction and just locking it in. I don't want to risk doing another faction, like another refresh to get a second faction. It's unnecessary. One is enough. Not really looking for items at the moment, but if I do, I'd want to get the knife for Silvina, which gives you 30% bonus extra damage. Here, for your positioning, you are just putting the tank in front, obviously, and you always save Silvina and Igor for last, because if they have an assassin, or if they have someone who might, who they might place here, and they might want to walk into your Carolina and Cecia, then you can have Igor block, or have them target Igor. And you want Silvina last because you want Silvina to target their support. And if not the support, then a carry.
Presence. Your command?
Let's turn the battlefield into a cemetery!
So nowadays, you see a lot of people not play Lightborn as much, so you hardly see any ballers because everyone's realized like Lightborn is probably the weakest faction in Honor Duels right now,
What is the next quest?
and it's looking like Maulers and Wilders are the strongest. And obviously Graveborn has its shining moments. So here we're just trying to get into find legendary people, find legendary units as quickly as possible. We don't need, although the Thorin was here, we don't need Thorin. We have Salazar. So once I saw that I have a Salazar, I'm stopping right there. If I didn't have a Salazar, I might have gone for the Thorin to get legendary, but I would have just left it at legendary. There I was deciding whether to delete anyone, because I might not use them, but kept them just in case.
Everyone must pay a price.
Battlefield screams are the
A battlefield more merciless than the frigid winter.
Well, let's begin our lesson.
So I don't have Cecia yet, but I did have Floribel, and so she is like a Floribel, just a wilder version of it.
Present.
And you can see Rowan's right there for me to target, and I'm just double checking whether if I can't target him, so I target these Carolina. So there you go.
Piece of cake!
Okay, so you see the knife, this is what I was talking about before. This is for Silvina. It's a very, very good early item. And then I see Cecia, so I'm going to grab her too. So now that I have my core units, I can delete these people that I don't need. I'm also wondering if it's possible to get a legendary, and thankfully I got Silvina at legendary, plus I got the knife for her. So this is pretty lucky. Okay, make sure you always check the artifact, the enemy artifact that might help gain some insight into what composition or faction they have.
A battlefield
This is
more
a
merciless
Lightborn
than
one
the
where they
frigid
get bonus
winter.
stats every time they die, I believe. Okay, so now that there's no Thorin, but you have Salazar as a tank, so he's in the front line. Cecia's in the center,
Your command.
behind the tank,
Field into a
and then you can see that their Leica is open for assassination, and they might have a Vala, but they do not. And even better, they put their Rowan out, so we get to kill their Rowan very quickly. And that's everyone dead.
What is the next quest?
Very quick, very fast. That's how all assassinations should be. So here you see there's a Mask of Fury. I spot it immediately, and I know I have to give it to Silvina. Just wondering where the knife goes. And so the cold dagger is going to go to Salazar because, Well, you could give it to Igor as well, but my first instinct was to give it to Salazar. It would do us more damage, I guess. So now, in this state, we're trying to get everyone else to Legendary as quickly as possible. We're trying, you can see that I'm not really going for items too much. I just really want to get everyone to the next Ascension grade, because the stats are quite important for survival.
You're not even worth getting up for.
Battlefield screams are the most...
A battlefield more merciless than the frigid winter.
So here I spot the Haywin.
Your command.
Turn the battlefield
I'm
into
hoping
a
that I can
cemetery.
get her like this, because it's technically trying to get to the closest spot. And I am able to get her. And with the Mask of Fury, I one-shot a Legendary Haven. So she can one-shot people in her own tier with Mask of Fury.
What is the next quest?
So you just gotta get really lucky with Silvina and the Mask of Fury. Not always this easy. Now here I'm wondering whether to get the ring for Cecia, and I end up doing it because I need Cecia to, because eventually my power is going to fall off. It's going to be same level as other people, so I want to push for small advantages, and Cecia having bonus energy for Mr. Carlisle to come out earlier will really help. Just gonna quickly pause to clear my nose. Okay, then we're back.
A battlefield more
You're not even worth getting up for.
Okay, so for this map, they have the artifact where you lose 20-40% HP or something like that, but then you heal it back over time. Here, it's you definitely do not want to target Brutus. You want to target their booty. So this is a good spot to target. Like, people think that they're very safe here. Yeah, sure, you're safe from people like Vala. If you put a target there, you're safe from people like Rainier. But for Silvina, different story. So to be safe, you probably just want to put like people like your carries like where Reese is. From Silvina. Vala can target the high spot if she's on the other side, the mirrored side. So we're always going to keep going for faction cards until we have one hero who's mythic. Because once you hit someone at mythic, there's a chance that you can get that same hero, and that won't do anything. I'm hoping here you have a Silvina, but it's not. But we got very, very lucky. We have 3 Silvinas now, and we're just 1 away from mythic.
Battlefield screams.
You're not even worth getting up for.
a battlefield more merciless than the frigid winter.
So I generally just keep the same setup. It's pretty easy. Don't put someone at the back line just in case of another
Your
assassin.
command.
So Haywin is wide open there. So to counter assassins, you generally want to put your tanks first, or your one tank first, and then imagine if you were the assassin, where would you place your targets? I found that if you group your units together, and they target someone in the center, they're gonna first strike them, but they're not gonna be able to teleport in. So this is my first loss because I got countered. Nature does, Wilders do counter Graveborn, but that's okay. That's just one loss. Sword of Justice is actually pretty good here. Increase your attack by 60%. But you can't cast your ulti. So I would prefer Mask of Fury because Mask of Fury just helps Silvina one shot. So I think Mask of Fury is still better. Anyway, so we have a mythic Silvina. This run is like 90% guaranteed at this point. So now I still haven't got a legendary Igor. Oh, there it is. And now you're just building everyone towards mythic as quickly as possible. And if you see the cool items along the way, then yeah, get it. So there we have the Stalwart Helmet. And I get this for Salazar, because he is our tank. With Salazar, you can be quite flexible. Oh, there's a Gaze of Power. Yeah, so with Salazar, you can be quite flexible in terms of what items you give him, just because he's already like got everything you need. It's just what do you need more of. And so the Gaze of Power goes to Cecia before Carolina first, because Cecia will use Mr. Carla, who root everyone, versus Carolina, who only stuns and freezes one person and frostbites the others.
Battlefield screams are the most exquisite.
You're not even worth getting up for.
A battlefield more merciless than the frigid winter.
Okay, so like I said,
Presence.
Wilders are very popular right now, and the Maulers, but more Wilders. It's okay, we can assassinate the Arden. And at this point we can just one-shot literally everyone. And because Silvina is mythic now, when she one-taps someone at the beginning, she will cause everyone around her to be frightened. So that's almost like a stun as well. I see Pier's Call here, and I'm figuring out who does more damage and whether she'll survive. And at this point, yes, she definitely will. Like, I think the Mask of Fury is better here. I think maybe I'm trying to think like what circumstance would I get Pier's Call, and maybe if Silvina still was, say, legendary and my other heroes weren't up to par as well, then I would probably go for the Pier's Call. So now we luckily got Carolina to Mythic, and we found our second Gaze of Power, and this is going to go to Carolina. We just don't have the money. Lock in the cape for the Cleric Vest, or cape, whatever it is. The Taunt for Igor.
Battlefield screams are the
You're not even worth getting up for.
Okay, so you'll see how much damage Silvina actually does. This is the artifact that mitigates 50% of everyone's damage, and although Silvina doesn't one-tap them, you can see she still does a crap ton of damage, and you're gonna see everyone else chipping in to help kill. Oh, whoa, that did one-shot them. Okay, it didn't one-shot the other one. Yep, you can see the swords came down, Carlo came down, Eagle came down, Shackles came down.
What is the next quest?
It's just everything. It's just, you're just bombarded. So there's only 2 more wins left. So it's really important that we try to get Mythic as quick as possible. And here we have a fire dance. And we're going to lock that in because we can't afford that. But that's going straight to Cecia. Okay, so everyone's basically got all the items necessary. We don't really need to go further than this, but we do have the money, we do have the income. But this is like what is like you can't really kill. Like you can't beat this team unless you have like a fire dance mythic Grease. But even then we can probably stop him too. If Silvina can get Reese. So now you're gonna see the banana wombo combo, Silvina stun, Carlisle stun, Carolina stun, Salazar Spirit Shackle. It's gotta pop off.
Battlefield screams are the most exquisite.
You're not even worth getting up for.
A battlefield more merciless than the frigid winter.
Present.
Okay, so ideally, you also don't want to try to assassinate Brian, because Brian has some counter mechanics to burst in his kit, so he can revive, and if he takes too much damage in one go, he will stun the enemy that did that damage to him. So luckily we go Haywind. Gone. Then you can see they're frightened. Carlisle comes in. And then the freeze is gonna come in. Okay. Yeah.
What is the next quest?
It's just over. Okay, but you know, Fire Dance just makes it so much better because now Cecia won't do less damage. She'll do more damage. And now we're just trying to finish our mythic. And we got Salazar mythic. You can see we have 25 gold left, but there's nothing else to do. Like, we can't afford a fire dance, we can't afford 2 Igors. So I realized that and we just move on. Just double checking. Okay, and this is the final battle.
Are the most exquisite.
You're not even worth
And
getting up
sometimes,
for.
like,
Battlefield
the
more
beginnings
merciless than the
are pretty
frigid
rough.
winter.
But once you get Silvina locked in, everything else is easy peasy.
Present. Your command.
So I try to target their Vala, but I realize we can't really. But we can target their Cassidy. I think that Cassidy blocks, her item blocks a lot of damage, or it gives her invincibility. I forgot which one it was. But I still did it anyway. I think in hindsight I should have just targeted someone behind Cassidy. And that would have gone to Muriel or whatever the shotgun's Walker. Okay, and she's gone, and that's
What is
it.
it?
That's how we got 9 wins. So I hope you enjoyed the showcase, the masterclass, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Please like, subscribe the video, and I'll see you in the next one. And really sorry about my voice. I've just been sick and recovering. But hope you noticed the difference in sound quality. I just got a new mic. Okay, take care. Bye bye.